Have you ever felt like your energy is fading faster than it used to? Or maybe you've caught yourself saying, I just don't bounce back like I used to. If so, you're not alone. Aging is something we all experience, but how we age, now that's something we have more control over than most people realize. I've seen it myself, two people the same age, but one is vibrant, active, and full of life, while the other seems weighed down by fatigue, aches, and forgetfulness. So what's the difference? Is it just genetics? Not entirely. In fact, science is showing us that many of the ways we age are influenced more by our habits than our DNA. Yes, the little things we do, or don't do, each day really add up. Here's something eye-opening. Research from Harvard suggests that walking just 30 minutes a day can reduce your risk of heart disease by as much as 30%. Just think about that for a moment. Half an hour a day could help you protect your heart, boost your mood, and maybe even add years to your life. So today we're diving into something incredibly important. The everyday habits that may actually be aging you faster than necessary. And more importantly, what you can do instead to feel more energized, sharp, and alive, no matter what birthday you're celebrating this year. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the end, because the last tip might be the most powerful one of all. Now, before we dive in, I do need to share this little note. Disclaimer: this video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start with the first habit that can completely change the way you feel every single day: ignoring your body's need for movement. It's so easy to slip into a sedentary lifestyle, especially with modern conveniences, remote controls, delivery services, endless streaming shows. But here's the truth: our bodies were built to move. And when we don't use them, we really do start to lose them. Muscles weaken, joints stiffen, and our metabolism slows down. One study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that just 10 minutes of moderate exercise a day was linked to a lower risk of early death. 10 minutes. That could be a walk around the block, some gentle yoga, or dancing in your living room. You don't need a gym membership or a personal trainer to move your body. You just need to start. And I know someone who did just that. A friend of mine, Carol, she's in her late 60s. She used to struggle with back pain and fatigue, and she thought, well, this is just part of getting older. But she started taking 15-minute walks after dinner each night. Within weeks, her energy came back. Her pain eased up, and now she's out hiking trails on the weekends. No joke, just a small change made a big impact. But it's not just your body that benefits. Movement is powerful for your mind too. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, which can boost memory and focus. In fact, researchers at the University of British Columbia found that regular aerobic exercise appears to increase the size of the hippocampus, the part of the brain involved in verbal memory and learning. So if you've been avoiding movement because you think it's too late to start, let me gently challenge that belief. It's never too late. Even chair exercises or short walks can make a real difference. Now let's talk about another habit that can quietly accelerate aging: chronic stress and the way we respond to it. We live in a world that moves fast. There's always something demanding our attention: family, work, finances, even our own expectations. But what many people don't realize is that long-term stress doesn't just affect your mood. It affects your body in serious ways. Chronic stress has been linked to inflammation, high blood pressure, weakened immunity, and even memory loss. The American Psychological Association points out that stress hormones like cortisol, when elevated over time, can actually shrink parts of the brain involved in decision-making and emotional regulation. But here's the hopeful part: how you respond to stress can change its effect on your body. You may not be able to remove all stress from your life, but you can learn to manage it in healthier ways. One method that's backed by science? Deep, intentional breathing. Something as simple as inhaling slowly for 4 counts, holding for 4, and exhaling for 4 can reset your nervous system. It signals to your body, you're safe. You've got this. I know a woman named Anita who swears by her 10-minute daily meditation. She started doing it just to try something new, and now she says it's her favorite part of the day. I'm calmer, I sleep better, and I don't snap at my grandkids as much, she laughed when we talked. That's real life aging gracefully, staying present, kind, and centered. So if you've been carrying around stress like a heavy backpack, maybe today's the day to put it down, even for just a few minutes. Another subtle habit that ages us? Eating like we did in our 20s. Listen, I get it. Comfort food is called that for a reason. But our nutritional needs change as we age. What once felt fine might now leave us sluggish, bloated, or foggy. And diets high in processed foods, sugars, and unhealthy fats are linked to a host of age-related diseases, from heart problems to cognitive decline. But here's the exciting part. Changing what you eat doesn't have to be restrictive or miserable. In fact, the Mediterranean diet, which includes whole grains, leafy greens, healthy fats like olive oil, and lean proteins, has been linked to lower risks of Alzheimer's and better heart health. A study published in Neurology found that older adults who followed this diet closely were 30% less likely to develop cognitive impairment. That's a big deal. And you don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Maybe it starts with swapping white bread for whole grain, or choosing berries instead of candy. Small shifts make big changes over time. I've seen it firsthand. My neighbor George, he started adding more greens and healthy fats to his meals. Within months, he dropped some weight, his blood pressure improved, and he told me, "I just feel clearer." Aging well isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Now that we've touched on movement, stress, and nutrition, 3 pillars of healthy aging, it's time to go even deeper. Because the next set of habits we'll cover might surprise you. And they're just as important when it comes to living longer and feeling stronger. So let's move on to something just as powerful. How small daily changes can add years to your life. You're going to love what comes next. Now that we've looked at movement, stress, and nutrition, let's talk about something people don't always think of when it comes to aging: the habit of isolation. It's easy to understand how it happens. Friends move away, families get busy, life slows down, and before we know it, our world becomes smaller. But staying socially connected is one of the most underrated keys to healthy aging. In fact, a landmark study from Harvard, the longest-running study on adult development, found that strong relationships are one of the biggest predictors of long-term health and happiness. Not money, not fame, relationships. That's powerful, right? Even casual connections, like chatting with your neighbor or saying hello to someone at the store, can lift your mood. And deeper relationships, the kind where you can truly be yourself and feel seen, those can reduce your risk of depression, cognitive decline, and even chronic disease. One man I met at a community center, Paul, told me he joined a local gardening club in his 70s, not because he loved gardening, but because he wanted to meet people. And you know what? It changed his life. He found a new purpose, made a bunch of new friends, and now says he's happier than he's been in decades. So if you've been feeling lonely, or even just a little disconnected, try reaching out. Call someone. Join a local group. Say yes to that invitation you were thinking of turning down. Connection is medicine. Now, while we're on the topic of engagement, let's talk about your brain. Another habit that tends to sneak up on us as we age is mental autopilot. Doing the same routines, the same conversations, the same patterns, day after day. The brain craves novelty and challenge. It thrives when we learn, solve, and adapt. You might be thinking, but I'm retired. I'm not trying to learn algebra again. And you don't have to. Mental stimulation doesn't have to be complicated. Learning a new language, trying a new recipe, playing strategy games, or even switching up your daily walk route. All these little changes can help create new neural pathways. A study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience showed that older adults who regularly engaged in mentally stimulating activities, like puzzles, learning new skills, or reading, had better memory performance and greater brain volume. And the best part? It's never too late to start. I know a woman named Teresa who picked up painting at age 68. She hadn't held a paintbrush since middle school art class, but she gave it a shot. Not only did it improve her focus and reduce stress, she ended up hosting a gallery night at her local senior center. It gave her joy, confidence, and a whole new way to express herself. Your brain is like a muscle. Use it, challenge it, feed it, and it will reward you. Speaking of feeding your brain, let's not forget another sneaky aging habit: inadequate sleep. For years, people thought needing less sleep was just part of getting older. But science is saying otherwise. While it's true that sleep patterns may change with age, the amount of sleep your body and brain need doesn't magically decrease. In fact, poor sleep can accelerate aging more than most people realize. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to everything from weakened immunity and higher inflammation levels to increased risk of Alzheimer's. The brain actually uses deep sleep to clear out harmful waste products, a kind of overnight cleaning crew. When we skimp on rest, that cleanup doesn't happen as efficiently. A study from UC Berkeley found that older adults who got enough high-quality sleep had better memory retention and emotional regulation. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's essential. So if you've been brushing off your sleep troubles as just part of aging, it might be time to reevaluate. Creating a calming nighttime routine, limiting screen time before bed, and keeping a consistent sleep schedule can go a long way. Even simple things like cutting back on caffeine in the afternoon or keeping your bedroom cool and dark can improve sleep quality. You deserve rest, not just to get through the day, but to feel refreshed and recharged for life. Now let's touch on something that can be tricky for many people: avoiding change out of fear. This is one of those habits that doesn't always look like a habit. But the older we get, the more likely we are to stick with what's familiar, even if it's not serving us. Change can feel uncomfortable, and it's easy to say, "I'm too old to start something new," or "What's the point at my age?" But let me gently remind you, age is not a stop sign. It's a milestone, and it's never too late to pivot. Whether it's starting a new hobby, moving to a new place, changing your diet, or learning a new technology, your capacity to grow and adapt hasn't disappeared. It might just need a little nudge. There's this beautiful quote by C.S. Lewis: "You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream." I believe that with all my heart. I once met a man who decided to go back to school at 65. Not because he had to, but because he always wanted to. His excitement was contagious. He told me, "Every time I sit in class, I feel like I've added 5 years to my life." And he meant it. It's not about going back to school. It's about giving yourself permission to grow. That's how we keep our spirit young. So now that we've explored some of these powerful habits, movement, stress, nutrition, sleep, mental stimulation, and social connection, let's talk about something even more foundational: how to stay motivated, especially when things get tough. Because let's face it, some days you'll feel like you've got this aging thing figured out, and other days, not so much. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's progress. It's showing up for yourself even when you feel like quitting. So in part 3, we're going to dig into the emotional side of aging, how to stay energized, how to keep going when life feels hard, and how to overcome some of the most common mental roadblocks people face as they get older. And trust me, the stories in the next section might just be the motivation you didn't know you needed. Let's keep going. You're doing great, and the best is yet to come. If you're enjoying this so far and want more simple, science-backed tips to stay healthy as you age, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We share helpful videos just like this every week, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's dive into something that affects just about everyone at some point: the feeling of slowing down emotionally. Maybe you've noticed a dip in motivation, or you catch yourself thinking, "What's the point?" more often than you'd like to admit. It's easy to assume that this emotional fatigue is just part of aging, but that's not the full story. In many cases, what we're experiencing isn't just a lack of energy, it's a lack of inspiration. And when we reconnect with a sense of purpose, something shifts. We stop simply going through the motions and start living with intention again. There's a beautiful example of this in a woman named Lorraine. She was 74 when she lost her husband, and for months afterward, she felt completely lost. Her days were quiet, her routines flat. But one day, she joined a volunteer program reading to kids at a local school. She told me later, "It gave me a reason to get dressed every morning. The kids looked forward to seeing me, and I looked forward to seeing them." That spark of purpose didn't just lift her mood, it brought her back to life. Science backs this up. A 2019 study from JAMA Network Open found that older adults with a strong sense of purpose had significantly lower risk of dying from any cause over a 4-year period. Purpose isn't just good for the soul, it's good for your health. So if you've been feeling stuck, ask yourself, what brings me joy? What can I contribute? Who needs me? It might be volunteering, learning something new, caring for a pet, mentoring someone, or simply being a loving presence for friends and family. Even a small sense of purpose can have a big ripple effect. Another habit that can quietly hold us back. Negative self-talk about aging. Things like, I'm too old for this, it's all downhill from here, or that ship has sailed. It might seem harmless, but those thoughts shape how we feel, how we behave, and even how our bodies respond to aging. Here's something fascinating. A study by Yale University psychologist Dr. Becca Levy found that people with positive beliefs about aging lived an average of 7.5 years longer than those with more negative beliefs. Let that sink in. Your mindset around aging can influence your actual lifespan. So let's reframe the narrative. Instead of thinking, I'm getting old, what if we thought, I'm getting wiser? Or instead of, I can't do what I used to, try, I'm learning new ways to thrive. These aren't just feel-good phrases. They're mindset shifts that can transform your daily experience. One of my favorite examples is a man named George. He had chronic knee pain and told me he used to beat himself up for not being as active as he was in his 40s. But after working with a physical therapist and shifting his self-talk, he started saying, I'm doing what's right for this version of me. That compassion made all the difference. He started swimming instead of jogging, stretching instead of powering through pain. And guess what? He felt stronger, not just physically but emotionally too. That brings us to another challenge many people face as they age: pain. Chronic pain, joint stiffness, lower energy. It's real, and it can be incredibly discouraging. But here's the habit we need to let go of: the idea that pain equals powerlessness. Yes, pain can slow you down. But in many cases, there are ways to manage it: movement, therapy, anti-inflammatory foods, proper hydration, even just getting enough sunlight. You don't have to accept suffering as your new normal. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that just adding 10 extra minutes of movement per day, yes, just 10 minutes, can reduce pain, boost energy, and improve quality of life in older adults. That's not overwhelming. That's doable. And remember Paul, the man who didn't start strength training until he was 72? He told me something that stuck with me. He said, every time I finish a workout, my joints ache a little less and my confidence grows a little more. It's like I'm reclaiming parts of myself I thought were gone. That's the mindset shift we're talking about. Not pushing through pain blindly, but learning to partner with your body instead of fighting it. Now let's talk about joy. It might sound simple, but finding joy in everyday moments is one of the most powerful anti-aging tools we have. Laughing, dancing, cooking your favorite meal, sitting in the sun, singing in the car. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities. Joy floods the body with feel-good chemicals like serotonin and dopamine. It boosts immunity, improves heart health, and even supports brain function. There's actually research showing that people who experience frequent positive emotions tend to live longer, healthier lives. So don't wait for something big to happen to be happy. Celebrate the small stuff. Life isn't measured in milestones, it's measured in moments. And those moments are happening every day. Lastly, let's touch on something that can hold people back more than almost anything else: comparison. This is such a sneaky habit. We look at others, on social media, in our communities, even in our families, and we compare where we are to where they are. We say, she's healthier, he's more active, they look younger than me. But here's the truth: everyone's aging journey is different, and comparison is the thief of joy. Instead of comparing, try connecting. Celebrate others' wins while honoring your own path. You're not in competition, you're in community. And your progress matters, even if it looks different than someone else's. So here we are, nearing the end of this powerful conversation. We've talked about the physical habits: movement, food, sleep. We've talked about the emotional habits: connection, purpose, mindset. And most importantly, we've talked about how you are in the driver's seat. Now let's wrap this all up with some final takeaways and a little challenge to help you put everything into motion. Because small changes done consistently lead to big transformations. Let's move into the final part of this journey together, because you've come this far, and I promise, the best is still ahead. So here we are, at the end of this journey together, but really, it's just the beginning of something new for you. Over the last few minutes, we've talked about the habits that can quietly accelerate aging, and more importantly, how to let them go in favor of choices that support your vitality, clarity, and joy. And if there's one big idea I hope you're taking with you, it's this. Aging doesn't mean losing your health. It means taking charge of it in a smarter way. There's something incredibly empowering about realizing that many of the things we once accepted as just part of getting older are actually changeable. We don't have to live in discomfort, in fear, or with the belief that our best days are behind us. In fact, many people discover a whole new kind of strength and purpose in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. Now let's do a quick, gentle recap, not to repeat, but to reinforce. Because sometimes hearing something a second time helps it really sink in. We started with the physical habits, letting go of inactivity and embracing movement, even if it's just a daily walk or gentle stretching, can completely shift how your body feels and functions. We saw how crucial it is to ditch those ultra-processed, nutrient-poor foods and lean into whole, vibrant meals that support your brain, your heart, your energy. And we touched on something so many people overlook, sleep, and how deeply it impacts everything from memory to immune function. Then we moved into the emotional space. And let's be real, this is where so many of us struggle, not because we're weak, but because we've spent decades giving to others, pushing through, and staying strong. But aging asks something different from us. It asks us to be gentle, to reflect, to reconnect, letting go of isolation, of negative self-talk, of old fears. These are not just emotional victories. They're health victories. And the science backs this up in a big way. Experts like Dr. Michael Greger, author of How Not to Die, suggest that diet and lifestyle choices may reduce the risk of many chronic diseases by more than 80%. Can you imagine that? 8 out of 10 common age-related illnesses could be prevented, or at least drastically improved, by the way we live each day. That's not just hopeful. That's powerful. So what now? Well, now it's time to put all this into motion. Not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Today. Because the truth is, small changes, done with intention and consistency, lead to big transformations. Here's a little challenge for you. Nothing intense. In fact, it's so gentle, you might even smile when you hear it. Pick one small habit, just one, from everything we've talked about, and start today. Maybe that's drinking one more glass of water. Maybe it's going for a 10-minute walk after dinner. Maybe it's turning your phone off 30 minutes before bed. Or calling a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Or writing down one thing you're grateful for before you sleep. Just one thing. That's it. Because when you succeed with one small habit, your confidence grows. And when your confidence grows, you naturally take on more. It snowballs in the best possible way. And if you're still feeling unsure or overwhelmed, remember, you are not alone. This channel is here to support you, encourage you, and walk with you every step of the way. We're building a community of people who are redefining what aging looks and feels like. People who are choosing to thrive, no matter what year is on the calendar. We'd really love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for future topics or questions you want answered, write to us in the comments below. We're here to help, and your input could inspire our next video. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on more practical tips for healthy aging. We release videos every week that are filled with encouragement, science, and real-life inspiration. Look, aging is inevitable. But how we age? That's up to us. And I believe, with all my heart, that your best days are still ahead. Not because you're ignoring age, but because you're embracing it with wisdom, strength, and joy. You've got this. Your story is still being written. And the next chapter? It's going to be incredible. Here's to living your best life at any age.